Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the internet, welcome to Voices of Agora, episode 18. This, my friends, is a Paragon podcast. I am the sexiest man on the internet, another notch. And
confirmed.
Joining me today is the second sexiest man on the internet, Shane
I'm
Lynch.
okay with that.
What's up, Shane Lynch? How are you, buddy?
I am great, man. I am better than I have been in a long time. Things are good.
That is fantastic.
Things are good in the Paragon world.
Well,
Things are good in the Paragon world.
Well,
With the exception of one thing, which we'll elaborate on.
Well, we will elaborate on.
Yeah, man. It's good, man. Everything's good. My stream's been on the back burner, but I've still been working my heart out on other endeavors that you guys will see the fruits of that labor. I'd imagine pretty soon, but I'm just waiting on some details. Some details I'm waiting on. You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about, buddy. So Shane and I, guys, we're here. We're back. We're back with another episode. This is gonna be a big episode. I don't know if you guys.
There's so much to talk about.
There is so much. So, I'm gonna start this by saying a couple months ago, Shane and I did an episode which we titled Paragon 2.0.
Yes.
And we got a little thing from Epic, and they laughed at us, and they're like, "You guys have no idea what you're talking about, because
they didn't say that.
This is not Paragon 2.0. Paragon 2.0 is coming." Yes. And we can talk to you about what and why. But I'm going to wait. I'm just going to tease you with that at the start of this. And you're going to have to listen to us ramble about some other stuff first.
Big announcement.
Huge
announcement about
announcement.
a big thing that's going to solve a lot of problems.
Yes.
A lot more problems will come along with it, but many more problems will be solved than will be created by a very large, by a magnitude of 3 or 4.
I feel like the 90% of the main issues with the game will be solved with the big announcement that we're going to talk about here. But guys, we're going to jump in.
Like Elon Musk there.
Thank you. We're going to jump in.
No,
and we're going to talk about patch 0.32. And as you can tell from my excitement with patch 0.32, it's the
3.2. You mean?
But whatever the frick it is, it's such a stupid patch, Shane. We got some cool skins.
Whoa.
No, I'm going to be critical. I've been very forgiving with some of the mistakes Epic has done, but tonight we're going to be critical.
There are good things that came from this patch.
There are, but there's other things.
If you want to be critical, you also have to be unbiased.
Yes, we will. So a couple cool things are, of course, the new skins. We've got our first Tier 3 skin, Doomsday Steel. He looks like a Mayan god. New graphics, new animations. Sick. For some reason, he has dinosaur feet. He's got T-Rex feet, but huge arms. They switched it up. He looks absolutely beautiful. Animations are incredible. And then we got a tier 2.5 skin.
Yeah.
Right. Is that what I mean? Would you call the new
the white
tiger
Greystone skin?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because I guess it added armor to him, but it didn't completely. It didn't add a completely new.
Right. He's got that helm.
Yeah,
new back piece.
I didn't even know that was even eiting made.
Yeah, either did I.
You and I have seen skins that are way down the line.
Yeah. So I'm saying 2.5, a tier 2.5 Greystone skin looks amazing. We got a new Chimera Moon Viper skin, which looks absolutely beautiful. And then we've got Muriel Amethyst skin, which is incredibly pretty as well. Plus,
Amethyst is one of my favorite colors.
The Nightshade skin for Faye. I like it. She's very glittery. It's all ooh.
I mean, she is a fairy. I think it's fitting of her aesthetic.
Yeah. So we got 5 new skins, guys. First ever tier 3, which is absolutely amazing. We're gonna talk about the meat and bones, the guts.
Give me the meat
of this patch. Let's talk about the good first, Shane. Reduced travel mode from 880 to 750. What do you think of this travel mode change, my friend?
A band-aid of a much larger problem, however, still a positive change nonetheless.
It makes punishment for lanes if you leave a lane way severe.
Yes.
Incredibly severe for punishments. But
Totes my goats.
Totes my goats. We also got some inhibitor changes. They increased the fire rate of towers inhibitors. Now they're just pew pew pew. And they reduced the damage to account for the changes. I think they over nerfed the damage Towers still feel just as weak. We've talked about this a lot, how towers, especially tier 1 towers, are just kind of a thing that's there.
Yeah.
And they still feel really, really weak. I love the change that it's actually faster, but I want them to deal more damage. And overall, they actually, I feel like they deal a little bit less than they did before.
Yeah, and I'm trying to imagine the changes in the context of the upcoming thing that we're going to be talking about here in a bit. Everyone in live chat knows what we're talking about. For those of you listening to the recorded version, you'll just have to. We're just building tension for you once we talk about it.
They also.
I mean, we've been building tension for the past like 6 months because that's how long we've known about it.
Yeah.
But, I'm trying to think of all these changes in the context of the big change about to come to the game, and it kind of makes sense because the area of the towers are going to change, and I think the range changes. I don't remember, to be honest.
Yep.
But we'll see how it is. We'll see how it is.
One of the other things they did, which I think is pretty negative for the towers, they increased the hitbox of tower and inhibitor gems.
Yeah.
So it's harder to jump up and take that shot and have a minion.
I don't like that.
I think it's a terrible change. Again, towers have always been weak, and they just got weaker with this particular patch. Good change. The initial spawn time of the Prime Harvester is from 9 minutes to 6 minutes, and they fill up faster. Instead of filling up at 5.25, they fill up at 3.5 minutes.
This change will be huge for
the thing.
The
thing.
Yes.
And they also reduced the initial spawn time of side harvesters from 6 minutes to 3 minutes. So now your jungle harvesters and your outside harvesters spawn at the exact same time.
That's also giving emphasis to laners to carry a harvester key as well.
I was just going to say that. I was talking about this last night, and someone was like, no, that's still stupid. Yes, the lane harvesters fill up at a slower rate. Is it half the amber, I believe? Whatever it may be.
I don't quite remember,
They fill up differently than your prime harvester and inside harvesters. And I'm sorry I don't remember the specifics. Nobody frickin' gets them anyways. But now, if you're in an outside lane, if you're playing with a support, if you're in that solo lane, feel free to spend 1 point and pick up a lane harvester at 3 minutes. It's not going to cost you anything.
Yeah.
Do it.
And don't forget the harvesters, when you plant them, grant a big boost of experience, which as the game, the overall game times get shorter and shorter, hitting your ultimate earlier and earlier will become a much more significant timing. So getting that big experience boost is also going to have a lot of value. Not only the long-term benefit of the amber coming from it, but more on the short-term basis of putting down that harvester. I mean, I think it gets you, I don't know the numbers, but I think like either a third or a half of a level just like that.
Yeah.
Takes 6 seconds or 3 seconds depending on which key you have. Yeah.
Now, Shane, we're going to talk about the change in this patch that pisses me off more than anything Epic has done. And I'm going to say this. I love Epic. I feel like Epic has made some mistakes, but they've come back and fixed them pretty quickly. The changes they just made, I honestly have summed this up to be the worst patch strictly because of these changes here. And
I wouldn't say the patch is the worst. I would say these changes individually are the worst thing. That's a yes.
So let's talk about them. Removed orb from the Prime Guardian. So upon killing the Prime Guardian, Prime cards are immediately activated for your entire team. Okay, interesting. Why? One of the coolest moments, especially when we were casting events, was
exactly. This is my biggest gripe with it.
Yeah. Yes, one of the coolest moments was you killed the orb Prime, you got the orb, and you began this slow march down the red lane to turn this in, and it set up for some of the greatest team fights in Paragon. And they were like, nah, screw it, let's get rid of that. What? Why, Shane?
I don't know, man. I'm always a big proponent of there being counterplay, right? One can make the argument the counterplay if the orb prime is you just fighting and defending at the orb prime. You could have made that argument 2 or 3 patches ago when the orb prime was actually difficult to take or took a while to take.
Right.
But this orb prime change, combined with the fact that they decreased the health on the orb prime, I think 2 patches in a row, 3 patches in a row,
2
something
patches
like that.
in a row. From
It's
17
incredibly
to 13 to 10.
Yeah, it's incredibly quick to take and easy to take. Combined with travel mode being slower, that it just took it took Agora, which already had very snowbally elements to it, and just completely just get super snowballing.
Yeah.
On top of taking away the ability to return inhibitors, which you shouldn't touch about, but obviously that kind of goes without saying. If you can't turn on the Orb Prime, you can't re-engage your inhibitors. So
yes.
it's and the same thing applies to the towers, where if your towers aren't giving you means of defense as they are supposed to do, they do for the early game, but the phase at which tier 1 towers give you a defender's advantage doesn't really matter, because by the time that people are actually at the card power and experience power timings to actually want to push a tower, then there's that time in between, they're not going to push a tower, right?
Right.
So it kind of falls off. So there's no, I feel like towers don't grant you the ability to have counterplay there. The orb, the Prime Guardian, you can't even call it the orb, it doesn't have an orb anymore. The Prime Guardian, the ability for the team on the back foot, or the defending team, whatever you want to call them, to have counterplay is not there. And the big thing, the reason why I'm such a big proponent about counterplay, I'm going off on a side tangent, but it does relate to what we're talking about. The reason why I'm always about there needs to be counterplay, there needs to be an ability, comeback mechanisms, whatever it is you want to call them. They're kind of two different things, but they have some similarities, is that they provide tools to the players to find that balance within the game. If you take away tools for players, aka mechanisms that allow you to make counterplays or outthink or outmaneuver your opponent, if you take away that strategical depth, you are then taking away tools from the community to take your game and find nuances that find the intricacies within a game. And I absolutely despise the fact that that is being limited right now. That's the thing that makes games, that helps with balance overall, is you can say, oh, XYZ here is overpowered. Is he really overpowered, or are you just have we not found the tools available inside the game to deal with mechanism XYZ?
Right.
I think it's a limiting factor, that they are limiting players' abilities to just play really well.
Yeah.
And I dislike that on a very grand level.
Yeah, I think this is one of the worst changes that have come to Paragon since the game has been released. I absolutely hate this change to Orb Prime. I feel like, and it's more of the, yes, I get to lose the stuff when I'm casting. Okay, I'll deal with that. We'll cast other moments. But there's
still going to be big moments in the Orb Prime.
We're still going to have these big, there's still going to be these big fights. There's still, I feel like it's too easy to steal. I don't know how many times I've stolen Orb Prime buff, especially walking over with Faye, dropping a Bud, and it just gets the last hit. Howitzer ult, Gideon coming in and dropping a space turd. I used a boulder from Rampage the other day and stole it. So, Steel Dunk.
I was right next to you for that one.
So I just feel like this changes. It goes from being this meaningful objective to, especially if you 5Q, and I feel sorry for the solar queuers, but 10-minute games where you're going to have your 5Q teams come in, they're going to pick it up at 10 minutes, and then they're going to dominate you, and you're going to be dead in 17. Yeah. I think this is the worst change to come to the game. But they also made some like ninja changes to minions. Minion waves stack up much faster.
I'm happy about that.
You say that. I'm okay with it until a minion wave of 17 ranged minions gets to your inhibitor and kills an inhibitor from full health to 0 and destroys an inhibitor without a hero being there. That's way too strong. Like, I get you have to have importance. It's important to protect your lanes and it's important to guard your lanes, but if I'm in a team fight and I've just let my lane get a little bit backed up and all of a sudden I look up and my inhibitor's gone while I'm trying to defend or pushing another lane and now my inhibitor's fallen just because of minion wave, I feel like that's a major problem.
I haven't had much time to play Paragon recently.
It's happened to me 3 times, Shane.
And I don't know. I'm on the fence about if I like that or not. I'm on the fence. It adds value to heroes with wave clear,
right?
Because right now wave clear isn't because towers are relatively weak. That wave clear is kind of a non-factor when it comes to defending towers because you literally just need one creep to take away backdoor protection and just dive the tower and kill it. So that adds value to heroes that have wave clear, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that you could the other side of the coin would be that's a sort of constricting sort of gameplay where it doesn't allow you to think outside the box. You always have to relegate someone to defend in the lane.
Right.
Which really the only time that should be happening is if you're down an inhibitor.
Right.
So, but that's not happening all the time. It's not perpetually happening. For that to happen, don't you have to actually go and actually make that happen in the lane? It doesn't just passively happen. Someone has to actively set the lane in order for that to happen. It doesn't just passively happen, right?
No, it can passively happen under towers. I've seen it passively
happen. I don't like it. If like how you could set the lanes.
You can set the lanes now. Now setting the lanes is very important.
I'm okay with that.
It stacks up too fast is the issue.
Yeah, if someone has to actively engage in that activity for something to happen, then cool.
Right.
Because that's play and counterplay. That's ebb and flow. That's yin and yang.
Right.
But if it just happens on its own, yeah, undecided.
Why are my follower notifications on?
Thanks for following.
That's going to be in the podcast. Another thing.
I didn't hear it. So.
Another thing, and I don't know if this is I have not been able to find 100% if this is true or not. But the Steel's ultimate is not as far.
I'm okay with that. I've been saying for a long time that ult needed a nerf.
But is this those of you that have played? I haven't played Steel. Again, everybody I've talked to said this is the case. I don't know 100% if it is. If it is, I think that's a great change. I have not been able to find anywhere saying that is 100% true.
I'm sure it'll be confirmed here in a little bit.
I hope
Mooney.
it is.
Mooney,
you're listening? Tell me, baby.
I think that's still Mooney's job. I don't know. I don't know. If that is the case, I'm 100% okay with it. Is it the change I personally was looking for? No, but I've been saying for like damage. Steel has been like the best hero, one of the best heroes of the game for 6 months. But not like oh he's the best hero, and alongside him are heroes X, Y, and Z. But he's been consistently one of the top banned heroes since Agora's Rising 1.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that. I don't think the range is the problem. I think that the damage is the problem.
Yeah.
But
I want to talk about.
I'm okay.
I want to talk about one bug. If you were watching me stream last night, you saw it. Rampage, Shane. So I popped my Rampage alt, and I'm like, I'm big, and I'm doing my big Rampage things.
Yep.
Okay, the alt wears off. The moment the alt expires, Rampage gets shot straight up in the air, like he's jumped. Okay. Except I
didn't see that.
Except
I want to see this now.
Except
Did someone clip it?
I don't know. You could probably find it. Except you have no control over it. So I'll be running along like I'm gonna get away, and then you just pop straight up, and you completely lose all forward momentum. You can't do anything. I don't know how many times I popped it and then fell back down and died. It is incredibly irritating because I'd go in, I'd get a tower, and I'd kill 1 or 2 people, and then all of a sudden I'm popped up in the air, and then 3 people are on top of me, and I'm dead. And I'm just like, God dang it. It happened every time.
I did not see that. Do we have a clip of that? I'm going to go in your past broadcast and look at that. Dude.
It is so irritating. Plus, Decker's wall, Decker's ultimate also got nerfed. It no longer does damage. That was another thing that happened.
Nerfed is the right word.
It's damageless now. So there was a lot of ninja buffs and a lot of ninja nerfs.
So what was the change to Decker? The impossible bugs / undocumented change?
It doesn't do damage. Her walls no longer do damage.
I'm perfectly okay with that.
I am.
Decker is another hero who I think needs a little bit of. I'm perfectly okay.
I am not. So
I'm 100% okay.
That being said, let's talk. That was the patch, guys. A lot of people dislike this patch. I personally dislike this patch. I like most. There's great things that came with this patch, but there's the Orb Prime changes, in my opinion, are the worst thing to come to Paragon, and I'm really disappointed with it.
Your webcam looks so good.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks to Logitech for hooking it up with the.
I want one so bad.
C922 Pro streaming cam, brand new cam, boys. Just announced today. I'm using it. Boom. The other thing was the reseed. I know, just plug that in there.
There's your contractually obligated plug right there.
The other thing was the reseed, the matchmaking reseed.
Yes.
They did this in the past, where they took the top tier players, the bottom tier players, and they kind of mushed everybody back together. So matchmaking times would be fixed, and then we all sort of spread back out. With this one, they did a couple different things. They removed the cap.
Mm-hmm.
So you, which if you 5Q'd and you played with everybody, there are people that have 45+ minute queues right now.
Which shouldn't be happening.
Should not be happening. Epic knows it. We've talked to Epic. They're working. They're hopefully going to be able to fix it. But the bell curve just kind of fanned out a little bit. It was supposed to help matchmaking. Personally,
Maybe it went a little bit too wide.
It did go a little bit too wide.
I'm not a statistician. I hated statistics. I hate that class. I hated past tense that class.
Right.
But it seems like maybe the umbrella was a little, or as you put it, what they'd call it, the bell curve. Maybe it got a little bit too curvy.
A little bit curvy.
10-year anniversary came up. Possibly, I don't know. I honestly don't know, but I think it's good that they raised the cap, because the moment you hit that cap, if you solo queued, it was very, very frustrating for many, many reasons, which is literally an entire podcast on its own that we won't go into.
No, we won't.
But at the same time, it's not good when your best, highest level players, who a lot of are also some of the most watched streamers, can't play the game. Because that seems to be the overall consensus, is that when you have to sit in a queue for 40 minutes,
and then get
it
dodged,
doesn't make for good streams.
And then get dodged,
and
sit
then
for another 45 minutes.
So, I'm not a statistician. I don't want to give any heavy-handed opinion on this, because I'm simply just not informed enough about how matchmaking works, that I don't think I'm in a position to say, yes, this is bad, or yes, this is wrong. But I think they're objectively, that shouldn't be happening. Epic is aware of it. The matchmaking team, who are full of brilliant people.
They really are.
They're like, just, yeah. A job I can never do, but they're brilliant people. I'm sure they're aware of it, and they shall address this.
My games have been
a short time.
My games have been better.
Yes, so have mine, because we're not getting bodied by.
I'm not getting bodied
by groups of people.
By Reborn. Reborn. But I'll say it. Not getting bodied by Reborn. I'm not getting bodied by friggin' Arctic Wolves. I'm not getting bodied by all the top players. I'm not getting bodied by them. I think it's fantastic.
We're better than average, Notch, but we're not as good as those.
Bro, I'm almost to diamond on Agora, okay? I'm so good at this game. All solo queue.
You know what's funny is, well, we can't talk about that yet. Everything named Agora.
Stop. They're changing. Okay, so
we'll talk about that in a bit.
So we got the reseed. We talked about the stupid patch. Can we talk about the new hero, Shane? Can we talk about...
This is your bait. This is your bait.
Oh my god.
The next hero coming out, we're going to I'm literally just, the podcast will just be me talking.
Done.
Go ahead.
Done. Quang. Take a Quang. So
were you playing him when you came up with that?
That's how I came up with that. Because every time I would alt, I'd be like, take a and then I'd go in and I'd annihilate.
You were so loud. You were so loud.
Quang, ladies and gentlemen.
I wasn't even in that room when I could hear it. I was on that couch.
If your children are listening, plug your ears. Quang has an ultimate that is just absolutely incredible. It's called Fury of the Heavens. He spins his blade in a huge AoE, damaging and slowing enemies. It's super awesome. If you throw his sword and teleport, you fly to his sword and do that damage around it. So plug your ears. Every time I would do his ultimate, I would throw his sword, which would tether enemies down. I would do his ultimate, and I'd kill 2 or 3 people, and I would yell as loud as I can at Epic headquarters, take a dick, as loud as I can at Epic headquarters.
It was loud.
Everybody was looking at me like, oh my god, what is happening? But the hero is so much fun. So Quang is a melee fighter. He is corruption and it's not order. It is order? Is it corruption?
He's corruption and order? Literally 2 contrasting affinities.
He's corruption and something.
I was going to say, he shouldn't be corruption and order.
Everyone I've said is corruption and order. I don't believe it was Fury. When I played
Corruption
Quang,
and Order. That's like
it's his blade. There's I can't talk about it. There's lore behind it.
Oh,
It's
okay.
corruption, or he's all order. I know when I was talking to the guys who designed it, he was corruption and order, but I don't know if they've changed it. I think it may have been changed, but there was lore behind it. Chat is saying he's all order, so they've changed it. It is
Corruption and Order.
I believe it's corruption and order.
Huh. I guess in Baldur's Gate terms, that would be like a neutral chaotic or like a I don't know. Interesting.
So it's like a tiny bit of lore. But it's not important lore, by the way. They'll explain more on Monday, I believe.
Is it like Arthas stuff?
It's kind of like it's very Arthasy.
Okay.
Yeah, I was told.
That's what I'm thinking.
So this was him. This was the guy who he didn't say for sure. This is the reason.
Lawful evil. There we go. That's what I was looking for.
We put it together. So he's a melee hero. His abilities are Light of the Heavens. Beams of light strike Quang's sword, dealing AoE damage around it and giving him physical and energy armor. So he gets great AoE. His lane clear is absolutely fantastic. His jungling is just as good, but he also gets the energy and physical armor. Also, Judgment of the Heavens. Quang throws his sword to the heavens. When it lands, it deals damage and tethers the enemies to it. The sword remains planted in the ground forever until re-triggered or the next basic attack. When you re-trigger it, it does an AoE explosion and comes back to you. When you don't have your sword in your hands, you can't attack, by the way. So when I played him at headquarters, you saw him. He was just a gray blob, and he held his sword. He had no animations at all.
He literally was this like he looked like a robot. He was like
he did nothing. So I would activate an ability, and I would throw his sword.
And you were just whoop, like.
But the sword never left his hands, so I would run into auto attack. The auto attack, bringing it back, was not a thing I got to play with. So I'd run in and be like, "Why am I not doing any damage? I'm holding my sword," and then I'd realize I didn't have my sword. So it took like 3 or 4 games to get used to. But the cool thing with Judgment of the Heavens is it can actually be used with his ultimate, Fury of the Heavens. So if you throw his sword, you will tether the enemies to the sword, dealing damage, and then you can queue up Fury of the Heavens. Quang spins his blade around him in an AoE, damaging and slowing enemies. If his sword has been thrown and it's out in the world, he will teleport to it before attacking. So he teleports to it and then does damage. Now, at Epic Headquarters, Shane, the amount of damage this did was similar to a level 4 Chimera ultimate.
A level 4.
A level 3. Sorry,
level 4.
No. We'll say level 4 because Quang did this. Quang did this at level 1, by the way. So a level 3 Chimera ultimate on Quang's level 1. You would one-shot 3 people if they got tethered to the blade. I don't know how many times I popped out into lane.
That's what the QA team is there for.
No, I know.
I'm
just saying.
That's literally their job. Yeah.
I would jump in and I would hit the ability and 3 people would instantly die at level 5. I had a game where I was 60 card power and the closest person to me was just over 20. Because he was so strong.
Yeah. The hero I played was also that broken, but
yeah, which we'll talk
won't talk about
him
/her/it.
And then he has a passive ability called Gift of the Heavens. Quang's sword bursts with light, creating an aura around it that grants lifesteal to both Quang and the allies around him. And when we played him, again, we played him on the new thing we're going to talk about in just a minute, the lifesteal was substantial.
I remember being tilted by it. I remember it triggering me pretty hard.
Yeah, he never had to leave lane. He was so... Yeah. This was back in August. He was super overpowered. I'm sure he's been toned down a bit. But he is the newest hero coming to the world of Agora on the 4th. And I have to say he's the hero I'm most excited about, and we'll be playing the hell out of this guy. And if you have not seen the video, head over to paragon.com. Click on his picture, watch the reveal trailer, and watch his absolutely amazing animations because they are some of the best animations we've ever seen in the game. They're absolutely beautiful.
I saw KL and some of the other motion graphics effects guys I follow on Twitter were like, we're proud of this one. Like
they should be. It's beautiful.
Yes. Every time new hero comes out, man, it's just they keep stepping it up.
Yep.
And I expect I expect that same level of improvement for the next one, which, oh my God.
Well, soon enough. So Shane,
I mean, in about a little over 3 weeks.
A little over 3 weeks.
I can talk about it.
Shane, you and I have been talking about the big change coming to Paragon for many months.
We've been alluding to it.
We've said that. I personally said when this change comes, it will make Paragon what Paragon should be in all of our minds. It makes the game 100% better. It makes the game incredibly fun to play. It makes combat more chaotic and interesting to watch. So if you're into esports, it definitely adds another layer to that.
Are we into that?
They're all right.
We should do a thing with that.
You think we should start running some community tournaments?
Yeah, we might need to adjust.
We might need to adjust some of the. I think there's better people out there than us that can do it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if we're that good. We'll let someone else run the tournaments.
We'll figure it out.
But Paragon 2.0 is just around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting a brand new friggin' map.
Oh my God, I literally just ejaculated.
A brand new map, Shane.
Yes.
Not only is it a brand new map.
Honestly, I've been holding this in so hard that I'm pretty sure it's caused hemorrhoids. Like, that's how bad we've been holding this in for so long. We've been clenched up that hard, man.
It is the most epic thing Epic has done for this game. The new map is smaller. I want to say it's about 30 to about 40% smaller.
I would say it's about a third smaller. Yeah.
Yeah. About 33.33 repeating, of course.
Of course.
It has to be. Smaller than the current map. There's been some major changes. It's completely redesigned. It's smaller. Travel mode. Shane, travel mode, gone. Dead. Killed it. Took it out back, shot it in the face.
Right in the face. Right in the face. Though, rip all the...
amazing animations.
Amazing animations and the hard work that's been put into animations for people in travel mode. Yeah. But, hey, you know what? It's a necessary evil.
It really is.
Yeah. It got derfed.
It got derfed so hard. They also did... Wait, what else did they do? They increased the overall speed of every hero in the game. Hello, team? Huh? What? Who wants the game
but
to be faster?
But there's caveats to that.
There is. So they did increase. So travel mode is gone. It's on a smaller map. All heroes have a increase of speed. But there's this mechanic they added when you attack. And there's a penalty. You actually get slower.
It's basically an attack penalty.
Yeah, it's pretty drastic at the time when we played it. Again, this was all stuff in development, guys. Everything we are saying right now, it could have been changed since we played it back in August.
Disclaimer.
Yes.
Yeah, let's get some beard hugs in chat, by the way.
Yeah, which we'll talk about that towards the end here. But so Shane, a lot of people have been asking me since this came out today, do you think Rangers are going to be the most affected by this? Because we're already in this very heavy fighter melee. Very heavy fighter meta. There we go. Do you feel like Rangers are going to be at a disadvantage? I personally don't, but what are your thoughts?
So, as I always fall back on, play and counterplay. If you're a Ranger and someone and a melee person is hitting you, that means if they're hitting you, they're under an attack penalty,
right?
And you literally just can move away.
Walk away. You can move.
Of course, the counter to that is that you have to not be attacking. So there are ways to deal with it. It's punishing in certain situations. It's more punishing than it is to the other, right? If it just depends on who gets the jump, where you are in the map. Is it an enclosed space? What cooldowns are there, right? There's a lot of things to take in consideration, which, again, the more decisions that have to be made, the more you increase that ceiling of skill, the more tools you give to the players.
Like blink cards.
Like blink cards, exactly. That's a beautiful thing. To deal with that sort of thing, then the better and the more empowered the players are to figure out if one mechanism, specifically how the movement speed is going to work on the new map, needs to be changed or not. So, and that's right now is the QA team's job.
Right.
literally what they're figuring out.
Right. They've been playing this.
They've been playing for like 6 months.
Yeah. So it's
This
been
map's
developed.
been long. You knew about it when you went in March, didn't you?
No. Well,
it was the second time you went
yes.
that you saw like concepts.
I didn't see any of the concepts. It was talked about.
And then I actually got to play it when I went for Greystone.
Right. So in March, when I went back for the the early access launch event, it was mentioned to me that they were working on a new map way back in March. I didn't get to see any art. It was just still being developed. It was still in the early stages. Shane, you went in April or May to Epic?
I think it was Greystone. So, geez, he was like 6 years ago.
So when Greystone launched, Shane went to Epic and actually got to play it, touch it with his hands, he rubbed it in my face.
Oh man, did I?
Because we both had the NDA signed.
We both signed the NDA, exactly.
And he rubbed it in my face. He's like, "Bro, I got to play this map." He talked about it every friggin' day, and rubbed in my face how cool the map was. But then it wasn't finished. It was still very rough. In August,
it was similar to what we played on during the open beta event.
So in August, oh damn, it was that. So August 16th, we went.
It like graphically, it was complete and stuff like that. Yeah.
They did the open beta launch event, and they had about 40 content creators at Epic Studios, and we all got to play it. Every single one of us got to get our hands on it and play it. Yes. If you guys haven't looked yet, Ace has put out a video. RJ Sache.
His name is Ace.
Ace has put out a video. Leo Grande used paint to color a picture. There's a lot. Reddit has got a bunch of posts for all the people that have got their hands on it. But they added some new things. So the jungle is way more unique than it currently is in the game right now. They use verticality way more than we've seen.
Way more. It's much more of an element than it is right now. Yep.
100%. But they've added. So we have shadow pads currently in the game right now. If you stand in a shadow pad, you can see somebody. Shadow pads are there. If you attack, it reveals your position. Shadow pads are stupid. In the new map, they've have shadow veils, and you walk into the shadow veil, and it's a veil. It looks like you're walking into curtains.
It's like it literally looks like fog.
Yeah, it's like fog. Fog
like
is a better
example.
War. Yeah. So you walk into the veil of shadows, and you can. This is it. Wait, hold on. Dramatic pause. 1, 2, 3, go. You can attack from the veil and not give up your position. Hello?
It's a nasty, savage sultry.
Wait, what? So you mean I can be a Richter and I can hide and I can wait and then
100% hook rate.
And then I can hook you? Fuckadoosh! And then I can kill you because you can't see me coming unless you drop a ward.
If any Epic audio engineers are watching or are listening to the recording, if you could just take that sample of not saying skadoosh and just superimpose it over the audio that's played whenever Richter hooks, I think that would be an appropriate thing.
I feel like that would be the great. So Shane, I was playing with Bloodthirsty Lord, the Australian gentleman we met who does YouTube, and I can't remember who our Richter was, and I was on Quang. Okay,
I can't remember.
We're hiding in a shadow veil.
Was that the game we were facing Ethos and I killed Ethos five times in a row with that one really overpowered hero?
Bodied him.
Really funny. Yeah.
So
every time I killed him, I looked at Ethos and I was like, "I'm sorry." I literally was like, "I'm sorry, dude."
Nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
So we set up this moment, and we're Gideon, me on Quang, and a Richter standing in the shadow veil. I threw out my sword, tethered him. We had teleblink because we got to play with it before it was released. They teleblinked into them. Richter used his ultimate. Out came Gideon, used his black hole, and then I ulted in, and we killed 4 people in less than 3 seconds. It was beautiful. It was amazing. I was rock hard. It was,
and he wasn't playing Rampage. Just
no,
so you
and I
understand.
wasn't playing Rampage. It was fantastic. There's so many different ways to set up with the shadow veils. There's shadow veils within the jungle as well, so you can be running through the jungle.
Isn't there one right next to the tier 1 tower, or is it like right? No. It's right in the middle of the map, where the lanes were like the lanes.
It's on either side,
like a line of symmetry.
Yes.
Right, and it's middle lane. It's on either side, and in the lateral lanes, it's okay. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm trying to reimagine everything in my head.
If you walk in, Cornell, you can see somebody who's in there. Yes. If you shoot and you hit them, you can see them. If you drop a ward, you can see them. It makes wards so much more important.
Yes.
But they're in the jungle as well. So they're not just like entrances as you walk out into lanes. There's shadow veils in the jungle. So you can be the blue buff, the green buff You can it's right across the hallway from the green buff. I'll talk about the new buffs here in just a minute, but you can set up. Okay, I know these guys are going to rotate to the green buff or the gold buff, or they're going to rotate the blue buff. I'm going to hide in a shadow veil. We're going to wait till they come by, and we're going to flank them and kill them. So there's a lot of gank potential with these new shadow veils. I just mentioned some new buffs, guys. Red buff, Shane, get it out of here. It's gone. They removed the red buff.
I like the red buff.
I like the red buff too, but it's gone.
I think it was too impactful as a buff.
Yes.
It was too important. Like, it was like, it had to be on your rangers. Yeah.
You can't see anybody in the veil unless you have a ward or you attack somebody and hit them in the veil. You cannot see it. It's similar to bushes in League of Legends. Exactly. Yeah. Yes. So blue buff does exactly what the blue buff does. Red buff is gone, so get it out of here. The gold buff is
this is really cool.
The gold buff is for your laners. It's for your ranged carries. It's for your suicide lane, which we'll talk about here in a little bit.
Yes.
But what the gold buff does is the person who gets the last hit gets extra experience. If you kill a minion,
I think it's like 33% more.
If you kill a minion, it's 160 amber. If you have the gold buff, you get 200 amber, a 40 additional amber. Yeah. That's a lot of frickin' amber. And it can actually allow your carries to get pretty well farmed. So that's what your gold buff does. They're in very weird spots on the map. I hate where they're positioned on the map.
Well, no. I love where they're positioned, and I'm going to talk about why once you're done.
And then the green buff. The green buff is the jungle buff. The green buff was so friggin' bugged. It had 10,000 health. It did so much damage.
It was insane. Yeah.
You needed 5 people. I told the group I was with, guys, we have to kill this because I need to know what it does. So you run over. We killed it. It gives you a speed boost while in the jungle. If I'm not mistaken, it also gave you health regen while you were in the jungle. And it gives you extra damage to jungle minions, your white camps, your green camps, your prime orb camp. So it's basically the Beastmaster's key with the extra damage and the corruption one that gave you the 15 health back per basic attack. Plus movement speed in the jungle. So it made your jungles more important. Absolutely. The buffs are fantastic. The blue buff is in such a cool spot, Shane. I don't know if you ran up there.
I don't remember, man.
So it's kind of like right when you run out of the core. It is a decent speed boost.
Oh, yeah. Do you like go around a little circle and it's... Yeah.
You had to run up this muddy path.
Yeah, it was a hill. Yes,
I remember. You had to run up the hill. It was absolutely fantastic. But they use verticality again, guys. There's more verticality used in this map than there is in the current map in Agora.
Yeah.
There's places to jump out. There's places for Gideons to teleport away. There's so much more verticality. The Orb Prime, we're going to talk about him right now. Shane, we talked about there being a throw pit. We have an actual Roshan-style throw pit.
There is one entrance and there's one exit.
Yes.
And it's covered by a shadow veil. It's covered by fog as well.
Yes, right as you walk through
you don't know if someone is in there in the
unless you ward.
Unless you ward. You don't know if someone's in the Prime Guardian pit unless you go across the fog of war. I don't know what we're gonna call it. Shadow Plane. I don't know what its official.
I've been calling it Shadow Veil. I think Shadow Veil sounds cool. So
fog, to me, it's like I don't know. Epic will probably put a name on it, then we can use that.
Shadow Veil. But so I had to play.
But yeah, so I think that's so cool. How you can't that means it's
a throw pit. It's dangerous. Yes. I had to play where I came in as Gideon and I rifted in and I hit a black hole and we had a Quang come in, but we ended up stealing the Prime Orb. We ended up getting 4 kills, and they could not do anything because the doorway was blocked by our team. We had slow mines from a howitzer. It was just all-out destruction in this throw pit. It's absolutely beautiful. It's in a weird spot. It's in a weird spot. It's very off-center. I wish it was more centered. It's off-centered. I feel like it favored the orange side a little bit more than the blue side where it was placed. So you had a little bit of an advantage if you were. It was closer to the orange side of the map than it was the blue side. So you had an advantage if you were on the orange side of the map. And without travel mode, you have heroes now that are coming. Kalari was so strong even before she got the buffs that we just saw.
Yeah,
Kalari on the new map was super strong. Narbash, Gadget. Any heroes with a movement speed ability were incredibly, incredibly strong.
So now that travel mode is going away, across the board, everyone's just moving slower. It takes, I mean, you guys know the implications of travel mode going away. I don't have to explain that to you. But the biggest implication of it going away that I think a lot of people a good amount of people have figured out, but a lot of people who aren't deeply knowledgeable about the scene and the path of the game, is every hero with anything that affects mobility, both gain speed and takeaway speed, just got more impactful and more valuable. Gideon's ult, Kalari with her global presence and her mobility, jumping up and down, especially now that travel mode's gone. Not only does she have more mobility on a vertical axis, but it's also a horizontal axis as well. Don't forget about that. Or sorry, you get the same point, because there is more elements of verticality in this map than there is in the previous one. All of that is much more impactful. Gadget speed boost, Narbash's speed boost, Muriel's global presence, Muriel's speed boosts,
Decker's
everything
speed
like
boost.
that.
Yeah,
Decker speed boosts, all of that stuff
Twin
is
Blast,
now much more impactful.
Twin Blast got
more.
a buff because of his slow mind.
Yep.
And allows him to get him some space in there to deal a lot of damage. I mean, everybody is getting a buff. So I don't know if this is true. I don't know if this is. I feel like we've seen a lot of balancing changes. This is 100% speculation, guys.
Okay.
This means absolutely nothing, and it could be wrong. I feel like we've seen a lot of heroes that have come out. And we've seen balance changes to certain heroes or balances where we look at a hero, and Narbash is a perfect example. Narbash is a hero that on this particular map, on Agora,
like designed for this map.
Yeah, he doesn't do well on Agora, but he is 100% designed for the new map.
He's such a bully. He's such a bully.
Yeah, 100%.
Isn't it? Cert literally played I'm pretty sure Cert played nothing but Narbash.
Yeah, and he was absolutely in love with the hero. But I haven't seen him hardly touch him on live servers. So there's heroes. I feel like maybe we're seeing heroes designed for this new map. I've seen a couple people ask in chat, is the new map going to be the only map? I fucking hope so. I'm gonna have to put this as a mature episode. I hope so. The new map is the way Paragon
should be played.
Did they say?
I know what I know what they want to do, but did they say
there has not been
okay.
They don't know what they're gonna do yet.
So there's two different elements, two different mindsets to think about there. It would be really cool to have a technically, I guess you could say game types, where you would have a travel mode game type and a non-travel game type.
Though?
But that's exactly the counterpoint to it, and I think the reason why I personally would not like to see more than one main map, like on a competitive level, is that the moment you start doing that, it makes balance. Anytime you add a multiplier, because that's essentially what it would do. Anytime you add a multiplier to balance, worrying about numbers and impacts on a much larger scale, then balance becomes that much more difficult. And in a MOBA, balance is so important. It's so important.
Not only balance.
I would like it to be the only map, but Epic hasn't made a stance yet. I'm sure they will soon.
But it's not only balance, it's an issue of separating the player base as well.
That's true.
So
that's true.
I feel like...
And it also takes away identity of the game.
Yeah.
People get into the game, you're like, well, is it like what? Which? The overall feel of the game would be completely different. Not even like a battle right, which a lot of people are playing right now, where there's like 2v2 and 3v3. Like, oh, there's a different type. It would be a completely different play style, completely different game between each map. So yeah, I think for the sake of the identity of the game, so people can identify, oh, this MOBA has this type of play style. It should probably be the only map.
So a couple things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the laning. It is a 3-lane map, guys. You're going to have your suicide lane. I'll let Shane talk about that in a minute. I'm
so excited.
We're going to have a suicide lane, and we're going to see a 2-1-1-1. 2 solo lanes, your suicide lane, and a jungler. Double jungle.
We don't know that yet.
I don't think double jungle is going to work on this map.
No, not double jungle. Not double jungle.
But I think we're going to see the solo lanes, the suicide lane. And I'll let you cover so Shane, a lot of people, what is the suicide lane? What is a suicide lane in MOBA?
It has a different name. It's been called suicide lane. It's been called the off lane. It's been called the hard lane. There's many different names to it. But basically, it's a lane out of the 3 lanes that is the most difficult to be in. Your opponent in that matchup of that lane is going to have an advantage of you due to the nature of how the lane is set up. Agora has had literally none of that. There is no off lane. There's been a solo lane. It's that wasn't even that sort of just came out of the meta, out of the players figuring out ideal situations.
Blue lane's your solo
and
lane.
Blue is a solo lane, but they have the exact same advantage that their opponent does on the red side of the map, or disadvantage depending on the matchup.
Right.
There's no terrain or mechanism or any sense of an element that says this lane you want that, like some heroes will be better in this lane than this lane.
Now, is that element for you
Right away.
the gold buff because of its
Not
placement?
only is it, but because of its placement. So again, guys, don't forget everything we're saying, that the map has been changed since we played it over a month ago at the open beta event. Whenever it does get released, so some of these things, maybe even a lot of these things, will be different.
Right.
So we don't know this, but the way the lanes were set up, and again, it's a mirrored, it's symmetrical, it's a mirrored map, just like your Dota and your League, your off lanes, right? That let's say you're in a lane on one of the, not mid lane, but the lateral lanes, one of the side lanes. I call them lateral because that's what we called everything on the side of the medical field, side lane. And the gold buff has a ramp down. It's a little exit on the side that goes down. Yeah, if you guys want to pull up Leo's drawing, I think this will be a little bit better for you. And it's all about the elevation. Yeah, pop that up because Leo, even though it's simplistic, it still gives you guys a good element of what I'm talking about here.
Let me add it.
On your side,
those of you listening to the podcast, I'll post a link to this as well.
Yeah. On your side of the lane, you have an easy means of just going down this ramp and bam, there's the gold buff right there. The ramp that goes down to it is only accessible. It's much closer to you than it is the other side. The other side has a drop down to it, but no means of getting back up. So if you drop down to the gold buff, your only means of getting out, if you don't have a vertical ability to get back up, you have to go all the way around, essentially behind the tower to get to it.
And this is exactly what the map looks, guys. This is the most artistic rendition of this map.
Yeah, and that is the case. That's the case. That's symmetrical. It's mirrored. So you have certain heroes that you're going to want to put in that off lane that are able to take advantage of the fact that they can drop down and be a nuisance around the gold buff. Right. And the gold buff, with the advantage that it gives in farm, means it's going to be a huge point of contention. It's going to be a drastic, the biggest, I think, unarguably, the biggest early game point of contention in the game. Is going to be for your jungler to gank, for your offlaner to look at potential offlane or offlaners, depending on how lane configuration is going to be figured out as the game goes on. So heroes like Kalari, they're going to be great solo offlaners. Have to worry about stealth, has an ability to, can get out of fights. The offlaner, generally, you want him to be mobile. If you have an offlaner that has global presence, you throw that sumbitch in the offlane. That's an element that's true in all MOBAs, right? Like Nature's Prophet in Dota, for example. You put that dude in the offlane, he can show up to the other side of the map instantly. So he has that global presence, that mobility. Kalari's a perfect example of that. Muriel, I don't know, but Muriel is an example of that. Will she be ideal for it? Yet to be determined. Gadget will be decent in well, not Gadget, but Feng Miao could be decent there because of his ability. Rampage, maybe not an ideal situation, but we're starting to see lane rampages a little bit more frequently. So now that is the case, that there is a hard lane / off lane, a mid lane, and a safe lane, with the safe lane having a discernible advantage from the get-go in the early parts of the match, that means that your heroes, the sets of the heroes, are going to be much more definable, not defined, but definable from the players as, oh, this hero is going to be really good in this offlane situation in this specific matchup. It adds strategical depth, not only immediately across the umbrella of the game, specifically in the early part of the game, but in the draft more specifically. I think drafting is going to become much more a good drafter, and the ability to outdraft your opponent just went up exponentially with this new maps, just because of these laning changes. The laning phase is going to be more important. If you get bodied in a lane, you're going to get behind. Like, it's just, I absolutely love that lanes are more defined. It creates a much more concrete sense of just, I can't think of the word. It's an identity. All the lanes have an identity. The heroes have an identity with those lanes.
So, guys, we're gonna, because this is J. Leo's drawing, this gray marks here, these are harvesters. You have 4 in the jungle, like we have now. 2 outside harvesters as well. We don't have the prime, so it's just down to the 6 harvesters, 3 on either side. Black buff is gone. We've got your gold buff here. This is going to benefit the orange team, and you've got your gold buff here, which will benefit the blue team. J. Leo put some great little 2v1 side lanes. Your card experience versus your experience. So you're going to put like right now the hero that benefits the most from experience is Iggy and Scorch. So you're going to put Iggy and Scorch in your 2v1 lane because he's going to benefit from that card, the
Kalari, again,
individual
another example.
experience. Kalari is another one where she's going to benefit from the experience over the card experience. Yes, you do want that card experience, but her initial point is to benefit from the
you want to get that level 5. You want to get that early
right?
game.
And you're gonna lose the tower. It's just gonna happen. But the same thing's gonna happen in the other lane as well. It's just about you delaying that and soaking as much experience as you can, and then giving you that ability to roam freely, push the lane out a little bit. You got your blue buffs here, which again are very elevated. We've got our prime buff, which is in this throw pit. I believe the other one is the black buff, if I'm not mistaken. And then you've got your green buffs.
I can't remember if the black buff is even on the map still. I don't remember there being a black buff.
I don't think it was active, but from what I've heard, there is still a black buff.
Okay. Oh, that's right. I think Colin did tell me that.
Yeah. So I believe the black buff's still there, but I don't think it was active at the time of us playing. Yeah. Again, all that information could change. So another thing your mic just went ham sandwich. Another thing people have talked about is that you're just going to leave it. Another thing people have talked about is the look of the map. Everybody wants to know, what does the map look like? So you're still in that jungle, kind of. There's a lot more. It looks like a destroyed castle with the walls and the architecture. I feel like you're more of
the new Overwatch map.
No, I feel, which is the best MOBA. I feel like.
Dude, that webcam is so sick.
Thanks, buddy. I feel like that it's actually a lot prettier than what we see in Agora currently. I've been calling the new map Sweet Cheese, by the way. Thank you to Chris for that. The new map is Sweet Cheese.
That's the official name.
That's the official name. That's going to be the name that comes out. Sweet Cheese, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to Sweet Cheese Rising. What's this of Sweet Cheese?
Welcome to Sweet Cheese.
You sounded like Harry Carey, which is a fitting impersonation for something that would be called Sweet Cheese.
Yes, it is. But the new map, guys, I'm gonna say this, and it's Shane and I have been holding this in, and everybody who's gone to Epic has been holding this in. The moment I started playing this map, it took me about 5 minutes to realize sprint was gone. I kept hitting shift. Because
it was hilarious.
We didn't have
no one told them.
We didn't have auto sprint yet, so I was hitting shift. But it took like 5 minutes for me to realize that it was gone. And after I got done playing it, after that night we played it, I don't know, 10, 11 times, I left. And the same thing I think a lot of us were saying is this map has to be implemented right now because this is the way Paragon is meant to be played.
Yes.
I cannot stress that enough. When this new map comes, this is the way the game is supposed to be played, and it will make Paragon 100 times better.
When we see Paragon on its first big stage, outside of Epic, its first big competitive stage, it's going to be on this map.
Yep.
It's going 100% to be on this map. I'm not going to lie, and I think a lot of other people have shared this sentiment as well, and this is just me being honest. My motivation to play the game has been greatly diminished because I'm just like playing on this map, knowing that it's like you know what I mean, like, and I've known that since May, since Greystone, and I've just been biding my time, and I'm so glad that it's finally here, man. It's the number one thing I'm most excited about is this map is going to help define who good players are.
100%.
I'd hate to say this, but it's the truth. There are some players who use travel mode as a crutch. Who travel mode is a crutch. They don't consciously use it as a crutch, but there's some players who I think are really good in current iteration of the game that won't necessarily be that good in the next iteration of the game. Not to say that they won't become good. Basically, the point I'm trying to make is with this map and all the changes that are coming to it, the obvious ones and the less obvious ones.
Shane, the bot just went ham sandwich.
See, this is why you guys watch it on live stream. Holy crap! Did Sache win something?
Boom!
My boy Sache. All right, he won 350 rep. This map is going to help define who truly are the best of the best.
Yes.
It's going to increase even more ways, and the undertones of everything I've said as it comes to increasing the skill cap, allowing play and counterplay. That's exactly what this map is going to do. It's going to increase that on a very, very large level. You're going to be able to outplay your opponents even before the game starts with how the lanes are. You can outdraft your opponent. Right now, outdrafting, as long as your opponent isn't just brain dead, they're going to get a decent comp, right? They're just going to get a decent comp because Agora doesn't really, the lanes don't really dictate it. Like, there's enough good heroes in the jungler and there's enough good heroes in lanes. It's like, whatever, we can get hero XYZ, which is a testament of how well the game is balanced right now, as far as in the vacuum of hero balance. But the map balance being the biggest problem, it's creating a larger ceiling cap. It's increasing that ceiling cap, potentially just blowing it completely away. And we're going to see high-level play, strategic thinking, cool, brand new tactics that are otherwise unobtainable or just simply could not be thought of on Agora. And as a caster, that's just swells my heart with joy.
Yeah.
Swells my heart with joy. It's going to make casting so much better, especially on the analytical side. Much more to talk about. It's going to make plays much more hype. It's going to create tension. With the games being shorter, means there's going to be more action. It's just, yeah, it's overwhelmingly good. There probably will be new problems that come with it, right? Anytime something new like this comes around, there's always going to be undiscovered problems even the QA team hasn't figured out yet, which will be addressed. But overwhelmingly, it's a positive thing. Cannot wait for you guys to get the hands on it. We were literally up to 3 a.m. at Epic playing it. Chris can confirm this. I think we were there to like 3 or 3:30. Playing on this new map because we just absolutely it felt like I was falling in love with the game again. Is what it felt like. And I think that's how you guys are gonna feel too.
I don't know if we will. I hope, again, speculation. I hope we see this on a public test realm, or we see this it's not just like a hero where it's like, hey, it's Tuesday. Here's a map. I hope they actually give us a little bit more time to test this and get this out before it's released and given out like that. But what I can say, guys, is, and I'll say it again and I'll say it 1,000 times. This new map is the way Paragon is supposed to be played, and it will make Paragon in my opinion, one of the best MOBAs on the market. Everyone has asked, do you see this game competing with League of Legends and Dota? With this new map, in time, it could, yes. That's how good this new map is.
That's a bold statement.
I will make it. I'm gonna make it right now.
It's a bold statement to make. Listen, I tell you what. The moment that you and I are able to cast a 7-digit prize pool Paragon event, I will agree with you.
All right, buddy.
Until that day, you can hold 8:31 p.m. on the Eastern Coast of the United States of America, the 30th of September, 2016. Until that day, I'm going to disagree with you. But the moment we cast a 7-digit prize pool event,
we're gonna have it.
Hashtag we made it.
We're gonna have it. We got a question in chat here. Do you think they will replace the map, or have both options? I think they'll I hope they replace it. I'm praying they replace it, and they don't split the player base. So yeah, guys. Shane, anything else before I start our send off?
Another thing I don't think we touched on. If I did, correct me here, Notch. The towers have a longer, bigger range. The distance that the towers have a much bigger range as far as their attack scope goes, right?
I believe they are larger.
I think, but by a substantial amount.
Yes,
you have to traverse you have to traverse a much larger space.
Yes.
To hit the tower than you do on Agora.
Yes.
And that's not with travel mode.
That's not. It's more dangerous to attack a tower.
So with towers being quote weak end quote on Agora, take that for what you will. If it's harder to get to the tower, then that immediately makes towers more powerful.
Right.
Just pointing that out. Again, things are bound to change. It's been a month and a half since we've played. When it gets released, it probably will be significant. Not significant, but there will be differences from what we're talking about right now.
So, guys, just deal with this stupid Prime Orb changes that we have right now. Because they're so dumb. And just know big things are coming. Big things are coming. Guys, that's it for this episode of Voices of Agora, episode 18. Those of you listening in podcast format, thank you for staying subscribed. Please like, review, all of those things. We love it. I read the reviews when they're up there. If you guys have any feedback, you guys can email us at agorasvoice@gmail.com. You guys can follow us on Twitter at Voices of Agora, and you can follow us on Facebook at Voices of Agora. Shane, Tell these
What's up,
people where
man?
they can find you, buddy.
Guys, you can find me on twitch.tv/ITG Shane Lynch. Twitter, same handle at ITG Shane Lynch. I have an Instagram. I have a Spotify. If you guys want to hook those up, go for it. I post pictures. My Instagram is literally just pictures of me drinking beer and my dog. So, yeah. And my niece as well. So
His
not
niece
all
is
those
also,
together. My
his niece is
also
also drinking beers.
No, that's not
she's
the
like
case at all.
4.
Hate you.
That's not
Yeah,
true.
just hit me up on Twitter. My streaming schedule is bound to change. I'm training for a completely new thing that I'm involved in that I don't want to talk about publicly yet. Because I'm training for it and I don't know if I necessarily am going to finally be in that position. Anyways, so my schedule is bound to change when I do stream. I am going to have a set stream schedule. Right now it's kind of hectic, which I apologize for because I think consistency is a really big key for my viewer base.
Is it?
But follow my stream anyways. I'm streaming a lot of Battle Right. I'm in love with that game.
So good.
I'm actually, yeah, it's a pretty good game. We'll leave that off the podcast. We'll talk about it after show. But yeah.
Good.
That's it for me, man. That's it for me. Thank you for listening, guys. I love each and every one of you.
As for me, guys, you can find me 6 nights a week on twitch.tv/anothernotch. You guys can find me on Twitter at Notch Plays Games. Again, all of you people that have been supporting the tournament scene that Shane and I have been trying to build up, our streams, this podcast, and the game itself, thank you guys so much. We truly appreciate each and every one of you guys. Stay positive, my friends.
Yes.
And we will see you in Agora.